Hello everybody, my name is Sam K and I'd like to welcome you guys back to Tuesdays with K. Now today I'm reviewing a $60 interface that is 2-channel and 24-bit 192 kilohertz. Now the first thing that I'm noticing with this is that it has had a hard time driving this microphone right here. This is the Rode NT1, a pretty sensitive condenser cardioid microphone. My Scarletts and the Audient ID4 drive this thing perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, I get a really healthy up to -4.5 decibels with those. This is having trouble driving it, and if I turn it up any louder than 45 to 50%, it starts clipping out, almost as if there's not enough volume, there's not enough output. And I think this comes down to the fact that it's trying to record such a high resolution through an AB USB cable. So what I'm going to actually do right now is I'm going to cut the audio and I am going to change it to 16-bit to record in 16-bit and see if we can get something a little bit better. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I actually forgot that you can't change the bit depth or the resolution in Audacity. It internally records at 32-bit float. But what I did do is I changed the project rate from 384,000 hertz, which is what I usually record at, because it allows me to do my effects and everything, post-processing, all of that. And the Focusrites and the Audient IDs, the ID4, ID14, I use the ID14. They're able to compensate for this somewhat and able to process it in this software. But I guess this, since it is $60, we can't really expect too much out of it. It does say that it's supposed to be 24-bit 192 kilohertz. I'm going to go ahead and say that's not true. I'm going to say it's probably 24-bit 48 kilohertz, so HD audio, but not remotely the sample rate that it needs to be, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Most videos are going to be 16-bit 48 kilohertz anyway. Most Tuesdays with KA videos have been 16-bit 48 kilohertz because that's what Adobe Premiere renders at. With that being said, I do think that you have to be careful with this. I think that it can be a bit of a beginner's trap in that regard. I'm going to go ahead and actually just start doing the actual review now that I have figured out what the problem is, what the bottleneck is. Now, there are going to be some limitations, being that you can only record in 48 kilohertz. You're not able to upsample the sample rate. That being that you're not going to be able to get as much in post-processing. So if you're wanting to remove the background noise and get really high quality, processing, you're not going to be able to do all that. So if you have a noisier microphone or something like that, it's gonna be picked up. So for that, this would be probably good to pair with something like the Behringer B1, which has only 13 decibels of self noise, and it would probably come out sounding very, very clean, very, very natural sounding, and sound pretty good. It also has pretty good sensitivity out of it. So that'd be my recommendation. Now let's actually talk about the interface itself. So it's a dual channel interface, and how it works is you plug in the XLR cables and then you turn the dial to turn up the gain. It does have the option for zero latency monitoring, as well as apparently loopback, which I find very interesting. That's usually not something that you get on a interface that's this cheap. Loopback is usually something that higher end interfaces use, including my Scarlett 4i4 that I use to drive this mic back here, which is my Shure SM7B. So it's something that is extremely interesting. If you're interested in loopback, that can be a reason to buy it. Let's talk about what you get in the box. You're going to get the interface itself and a cable. Now this is an old school AB USB cable. Why they didn't go with USB-C, despite the fact it's supposed to be 24-bit 192 kilohertz, is beyond me. USB-C is really the only method that could drive that kind of sample rate and would probably help with this clipping issue. Regardless, there does seem to be a way to plug it up with a micro B USB. Maybe that's the 24-bit that they're talking about. I tried plugging it up with a micro B USB and I got no sound out of it. It didn't even detect on my computer at all. I will do more testing, and if I figure it out, I will put it in here. Okay, scratch everything that I just said. I plugged in a micro B USB cable that actually did start working, and I set it to 192 kilohertz in Audacity. And take a listen. Testing, 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 testing. Now, of course, obviously, at the very end of that, I was actually clipping, but I had the gain up pretty damn high by that point. It was, I don't know, around 80% when it started clipping. So that tells me one thing. The included USB cable is inadequate for recording HD audio. You need to get yourself a micro B USB. Thankfully, you can get a pack of 4 of them for like, I think $5 on Amazon. The other thing, you have to record in 192 kilohertz. The reason for this is because you're using a cheap interface. It probably doesn't have the best preamps overall. It probably has worse preamps than even something like the Behringer Euphoria would. It's supposed to be 24-bit, 192 kilohertz. As we found, it is both 16-bit, 48 kilohertz, and 24-bit, 192 kilohertz. The USB microphone that they give you will get you 16-bit, 48 kilohertz, which is good for recording, but if you want to be able to adjust your audio, do a little bit more in post-processing, you are going to need a micro B USB cable. So it's going to be an extra like $5, $10. Of course, I'm saying that speaking into a $270 microphone running into this interface. I am going to talk about the technical specifications here. The frequency response is a 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz, -1 dB. Dynamic range is 82 dBA. The gain range is plus 3 dB to plus 60 dB. And that's for mic input 1 and 2 balanced. These specs are best sketchy, so I can't really trust them overall. So the one thing that I want to do is I want to unplug this microphone, and I'm going to actually turn up the gain on it so that we can listen to the preamps. Okay, so for the uninitiated on how preamps work, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just let it run at 100% without a microphone plugged in. You should hear only the preamps. And from there, we are going to see how loud they are. I will boost them a little bit so that we can get a good idea. So there's one more thing that I actually wanted to try. For those who are uninitiated to what a mic activator is, it is something that you would typically use for a dynamic microphone like the Shure SM7B to get more clean gain for your consumer-based interfaces, or even your prosumer ones, because a lot of interfaces just don't have enough gain in order to drive something like the Shure SM7B. However, Trine Audio makes this what I can only describe as specialized mic activator that gives extra clean gain to condenser microphones. I've said this at the beginning. This is not a hard microphone to drive. It has a -29 decibel sensitivity at 16 megavolts, I think is what I said. But I'm plugging this into a FetHead Phantom, and I'm noticing I'm getting way healthier audio out of this. I was able to turn down my gain some, so I'm not hurting those preamps quite as hard. It's a little bit strong to suggest that this is maybe not the best option at this price point. So, yeah. So here's my thoughts on this. This could have a very good idea behind it. but it's being implemented very poorly with this product. This is definitely a product I'd be interested in seeing, but maybe from a more reputable company. I would love to see Behringer make a Euphoria UM4 more than anything, because they have pretty solid preamps inside of their interfaces and they're very cheap. And it would be cool if they could somehow get it into the $60 price tag that this is in. I don't know if that's possible because these preamps are pretty trash and obviously clipping out. And if my ears served me correctly whenever I was turning them up, they're also rather noisy, which would explain why it has issues. Do I think that somebody should go out and get this? No. The Behringer Euphoria UM2 is $46, I believe, and is significantly more appealing overall. It has better everything. However, I do think that there's still a use case for this. If you're using some sort of a shotgun microphone where you are several inches off of a subject, this probably would work because you are not right up against the microphone. Now, I'm not right up against this NT1 at all, but I am right up against it in comparison to where my shotgun microphone would be placed. And I'll actually throw in a test here just to give you guys an idea. So as promised, here it is with the shotgun microphone. I actually am recording in 384 kilohertz once more. That's so that I can do a little bit post-processing, get rid of that nasty wind audio and all that. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think this interface would be good for something like this? Do you think it sucks? Just let me know down in the comment section below. Honestly, I think this is the only reason that you would have one of these. And for $60, hard to really say if the HD audio is worth the $60 when you can just get a Behringer Euphoria and plug in one of these guys. I'm not going to recommend this for anything other than that shotgun microphone that I mentioned. So, yeah, there you go, guys. Sorry it didn't work out. I wish that it would have. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode there. So I want to thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a big thumbs up. You want to see more, make sure to subscribe. Check out some content I create, including links that see at the end of this video. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.